Hey guys, had a lot of requests for this one. I'm looking at the Juiced Bikes CrossCurrent S, and I'm with the founder of the company. This is Tora. How's it going, man?
How's it going, man?
Dude, I enjoyed the last set of reviews. We did the CrossCurrent. Was it the light or the air?
Yeah, the air.
I always get it. I always cut the air, right? And then you also have the ocean current.
Ocean current.
And you know, it's been interesting to see the progression and like little improvements and iterations. Just before I even jump in on this, look at this. These are sealed, threaded electrical connectors. We've got a kickstand that's been moved towards the rear end of the bike, so it's out of the way if you need to pedal backwards or walk the bike back. They still left the mounting plate though, so if you're someone who likes the double leg, especially now that they've got this custom rack with pannier hangers, they've even got a loop here so you could use a bungee. 25 kilogram max weight on that, so it's really, you know, sturdy. It's neat to see those little things. Even bottle cage bosses, that's something I call out a lot. You have two of them. So you've got some on the top tube, some on the seat tube. 4 frame sizes. We're looking at the 16.5. It's the smaller, but they're all, actually, no, they're not. You have 2. You have the diamond and sort of a mid-step.
Yeah, like a step through.
Kind of
we call
like
it a skip through, but it's just a,
it's
the
like a
top
mixedy type of thing.
Mixedy.
Yeah, so this top tube would be angled down. And on that one, are the bottle cage bosses still there, or do you?
No.
And that's understandable. I get it. You have a rack. You can put a bag or something. At least you have them for the high step.
Yes.
And several colors. So you got this brushed aluminum.
Yes.
And what were the others? A gloss red, and matte black.
Matte black.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
the red, the black. Yes. I see it. I see it coming together. $16.99 for this is still what I would consider a relatively affordable bike, especially for a speed pedelec. It's got a throttle with override, a really nice new display. I'm going to jump into all those details in a minute, but some people might be like, well, a new bike from Juiced Bikes. Like, I heard there might have been some issues, and frankly, I haven't had issues. We've done these reviews, but I'm a reviewer. Of course, you test the bikes. They're set up perfectly. Now it sounds like you're kind of half online and half through shops.
Yes.
And a couple people have gotten bikes and been like, oh, you know, the disc brake rotor was an issue, or one of the shifter cables. This is your chance to clear. I mean, what's going on? Is everything okay?
Yes. It's quite difficult to get these bikes assembled all through the process, get them here and shipped and to the customer in one piece. You know, the shop is kind of like part of the assembly process.
That's true. So they're a middleman. They keep it nice for the customer.
Yes, they're part of the quality control. And you know, we're doing some shipping direct, and we are now packaging the bikes in a special packaging. A lot of foam.
So you notice, you've seen these issues, and you're fixing them.
Yes, everything we try to fix. So a lot of companies, they do like big updates. We like try to jump on these things.
Incremental updates.
Incremental, as quick as we can.
Okay, I appreciate it. And you've actually spent a lot of time in Asia, and you speak multiple languages, so you're able to crack down on the issues in person.
Yeah, I'll stand online and say, why did you do that?
Why did you? We need to fix that. I mean, I know it's a team thing. Everyone's probably working hard, but you're also trying to hit those relatively low prices. And I just, you know, it's nice to feel reassured that, like, you know, and you're working on this. You also have a year comprehensive warranty, so you are taking care of people.
We take care of as much as we can, and practically can do it. We're definitely not trying to make a really cheap bike. I mean, this particular bike is all about getting the performance and the parts right on it, and then just getting it as cheap as we can, you know, to the customer, getting it as inexpensive as we can. It's a different philosophy.
Well, thank you. And again, I want the review to be about the CrossCurrent S, of course, but it's nice when I'm not always with you and getting your feedback. This is the more premium model, and check it out. This is like a 1,000 lumen headlight that's custom from them. It's got the LED, aimable, really nice, integrated. So it means it runs off the battery pack, and they have 3 battery pack options. So this one's 48 volt, 12.8 amp hours, and that's the $16.99 price point. You can pay a little bit more, and then what do they step up to? It's like
17.4 and then the 21.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
And the battery, the box is a little bit bigger, and those ones weigh about 11 pounds versus 7.4 on this one.
Something like that.
So there is a jump up. I was weighing this one. All the specs for this bike are on the website, you know, including standover height, measurements and stuff. This is the only model I had to review today. They do have the USB port, but you said maybe you deactivated this.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Okay, so USB port can create issues for the battery pack. Basically, it can self-drain when it's not being used.
It's phantom power draw?
Phantom power draw, and you know, that's an expensive battery.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a shame that if a battery's failing because of this. So, also, we have some customers who maybe say, oh, my phone was damaged.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the cable, maybe it's, you know, you don't know.
Well, you can actually, my uncle had a bike like this and was pedaling and kind of bumped it, and then you couldn't charge anything on it anymore. I always recommend that Amazon has these angled, like right angle USB adapters, because there are other e-bikes with that, but yours is disabled and there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we stay on the side of being reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically...
It's back to those issues we were talking about.
Yes.
You're aware, you're trying to optimize for reliability.
Yes.
I appreciate that. The hub motor here, this is another area that's been upgraded. On the CrossCurrents that I'd looked at before, it was a 500 watt, and this one's 650, and it peaks like maybe in a 900. I mean, you know, it's very capable, but 650 nominal, so that's still street legal. The thing is a class 3, so you can get up to 28 plus mile. You know, it's fast, and you got the throttle, which maxes out at 20 miles per hour. So it's capable of commuting, of being a type of bike that you can bring stuff with you. You could, of course, take the rack off, but I was impressed with how quiet this thing is. So, you know, honestly, I took this around, and some of the streets in Fullerton are a little rough, and plastic fenders, a lot of times they're rattling a lot, but this one just doesn't. It's awesome because it connects right here on the rear portion of the rack, as well as having an additional strut here, and then on the front, I feel like you got the fenders right. They're plastic. They've got the mud flap, so it does give you good coverage down there, but it's still flexible if you kick it or you hit a curb. And then I didn't notice a light on the back. There is a nice reflector, but this is a Selle Royal look-in gel saddle, and there's this little piece that you pull out, insert, and then there's a light that you include that goes on it.
Yes.
So it's an independent light. It has its own batteries versus the headlight. But still, at least you have it. You have a rear. So the thing to be careful of if you're an owner of this bike is you think like, yeah, my light's on there. But if you have a trunk bag and then your seat's not super high, well, the trunk bag could block it. So just keep that in mind. They do have aftermarket lights. You could replace this reflector with a light. I'm just trying to be really thorough here and give you some feedback about commuting. I like the silver personally because from the side you're going to have a nice visual footprint. People are going to notice you. The tires are kind of average in my opinion. You know, these are what was the brand? The Kenda. It's like not even, there's no name, there's no reflective sidewall stripe, there's no like, does it have puncture protection built in, but they are going to be more efficient as hybrids, and I noticed that the tread portion is a little thicker, so I would hope they'd hold up all right. But these are 700 by 45C, it's like 28 by an inch and a half, or you know, there's about. It's going to be efficient, maybe not quite as comfortable because the PSI rating was like 50 to 85. Yes. Was that right? But that efficiency is a big deal, and you can maximize that by locking out the suspension fork. So we've got a compression slide with complete lockout at one end, 63 millimeter travel, SR Suntour necks. This is a coil fork, not quite as light, and that's another thing. This is like 57.4 pound bike. It is a little bit heavier, and that's with the smaller battery pack. But you want to be able to power the light and go the distance and be high speed. And if you want it to be quiet, this is a great option. Do you have any comments on the tires? I mean, you know, I'm not trying to badmouth you.
Actually, we have, this is the one comment that people make, and then we ordered Strawberry Marathon Plus tires.
So you can upgrade them if you want.
We can upgrade them, so we bring them in on the containers, and yeah. It's
an option. Okay, so, and that's the other thing. In addition to batteries and stuff, yeah, these guys offer a few different options. On your website, you have a lot of the drop downs and stuff. So good. I'm just telling you what I see here. Yes. So a little bit cluttered here with all the wires and stuff up front, but that's because they have motor inhibitors on these hydraulic disc brakes. And that's great. As soon as you pull those, it pulls the power. It completely stops it. And with a more powerful motor, it's great to have that. I like that the cables are partially internally routed here, but otherwise, you know, they are more exposed. This is something I commented on last time with you, Tora, and you said...
we optimize for serviceability.
There you go,
yeah. Mechanics hate it with the internally routed cables.
I can understand that, especially with... Yeah, so coming back to the aesthetic, it's like, well, you know, especially on the black one, those wires are going to blend in a little bit, but they are more exposed. And that's a good thing for serviceability, but from a visual standpoint, they're exposed a little bit more. I like that they're all on the down tube and not the top tube, because that makes this smooth if you're going to hang it off the back of a rack, like a car rack or something. Do take the battery pack off. I think it's like 7.4 pounds of weight that you can remove right there. Quick release on the front wheel. That's really nice. 180 millimeter rotors, front and rear, dual caliper pistons. Kind of standard, but 180, that's good size. adjustable reach on those levers, so you can bring them in if you're someone who's a little bit smaller and you've got smaller hands, or maybe you're wearing gloves. That's a nice upgrade with the hydraulic disc brake levers. And then back here, no quick release, but that's because we've got like an 11 millimeter threaded axle. It's just got nuts, and then you can see the power cable coming in from the right. It does angle down, which is nice versus coming out. This is a little bit of a vulnerability on any bike. If your bike tips to the right, you can mess up your derailleur, and there's just extra cables here. But we do have a nice quick disconnect, so if you need to do some service back here, you're gonna have to have some tools, but it's doable, and this is something I see a lot on the Bafang. Dapu has a hub motor where the cables and stuff are tucked in and they're nice and tight on the left, but then you're kind of spreading it out. You've still got a hydraulic disc line over there. So to me, this is decent. Tora, have you ever, I've seen those little Derailleur Guards. Did something like that fit on there? Is there a reason you don't do that?
We don't use it.
Don't use it?
We don't use it, but if you want to change the tire, we do now have tools, special tools that we use that has a socket that the cable can come out of the socket. So it's actually special tools now. We're learning what people do, and then we're selling the tools online to let people do their service on their own bike.
Keep their bikes going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like the wheels. This wheel set, double wall aluminum alloy with reinforcement eyelets, painted black, matching the black spokes, 12 gauge in the rear, 13 gauge up front. Normal is like 14 or 15.
Yes.
Thicker. So
yes.
These are a little bit overbuilt. Has that worked out for you?
Yeah. We've had some issues with the spoke breakage, and these bikes are moving very fast with the very high pressure.
That's true.
And you have to really look after your spokes. So we're constantly improving this situation.
What's the max rating for this, like in terms of rider weight?
It's like 250 pounds.
Okay.
So that's basically limited by the spokes, and you just have to look after your spokes more.
And I hear that that's the official word, but people buy these who are like 300 plus pounds, and
yeah,
just bend the spokes. Or
well,
what happens?
no, you just you have to more maintenance on the bike. If you're in a very hilly area, you can't expect to do the same maintenance if you're in a very flat area.
Sure.
So
or bumpy, rough terrain.
Exactly. So
Okay.
you kind of have to scale up the maintenance based on your riding in your terrain.
That makes sense. And this is a nicer drivetrain. I think it's been upgraded. So Shimano Altus, we got triggers here. They call it Mega Light. It's not two-way, but the triggers are faster, and I think you can do multi-shifts with the, let's see. Yep, 2 clicks. There we go. And then back here we've got the Altus 9 sprockets, 11 to 32 teeth. This looks like an upgraded, like rust-proof, e-bike specific chain. That's nice. We've got an alloy guard on the outside of the chainring. This is 52 teeth. This is a bigger chainring, and I think that helps you maintain and hit higher speeds, right? Is that
Yes.
so?
Yeah.
It's
This bike is going pretty fast, so you want to be able to keep up. You got to put the biggest chainring in the front and the smallest in the back.
I've seen that on like folding bikes where it has a super big chainring to sort of offset the smaller wheels. Well, in this case, the wheels are actually pretty good size. The 700C, that's roughly 28 inches. You're going to have a lower attack angle. You're going to smooth over those cracks and bumps rather than kind of falling into them. So this is efficient. One thing I think about, especially when you have fenders, is let's say this is in like the most outstretched position and you're turning. There's pretty good clearance there. I didn't feel like my foot was colliding with that fender at all when I was riding. But anyway, yeah, 9 speeds. It's a 1x, which is really nice, so you don't have the added weight and complexity of another derailleur up front. I've thought about, so this is the outer like bash guard. It helps your pants slough over and not snag and get greasy, but there's no inner guide, so the chain can drop off if it's really bumpy. Was there a reason you didn't do a chain guide?
Okay, so the RC on this is super, super tight. This is a bicycle geometry, so when you ride on this bike, it feels just like a bike.
Yeah.
And that is due to the really short RC.
And are you saying that
they just don't have the room for it?
The RC.
Yeah, the rear from the rear axle to the center.
So the chain stays shorter.
Yes, the chain stays.
So it's a little more nimble.
Very nimble. It just feels very like bike-like. The longer you make it, a lot of the bikes have the battery behind the seat tube. Then you extend it, and the bike kind of lugs around. It doesn't feel sporty. This is all about sporty. Yeah,
and I noticed, like, for example, I'm asking about chain guide, and it wouldn't fit because, right, do you see how the chain stay is so close to the chain ring down here? They have some plastic ones that you can add that keep it, but
Chain catchers.
Yeah, chain catchers. Yeah, so I don't know. my job is to kind of ask these questions, but I see that it's a very thoughtfully engineered bike. Do you have problems with chain drops?
Yeah, occasionally some people will have, if it's not geared correctly, then you could do that.
And one of the adjustments that I've learned recently, it's like if you're over time, if these cables stretch in your shifters, so you can come up here and there's a finger dial, and if you just turn counterclockwise a click or two, it basically, it tightens it, so you can do a little bit of maintenance yourself.
And also adjusting the limit stops.
Yep.
On the derailleur.
That's awesome. Yeah. I realize we're going a little bit overboard here on all the conversation, but this is important, especially if you buy this online and if you're on your own. A lot of people don't have bike shops near their house, so I'm trying to fill in the missing pieces. 350 millimeter length on that seat post. That's great. 27.2 millimeter diameter. So if you wanted to replace this with like a body float, a thud buster, and turn it into more of a full suspension feel, suspension at the front, seat post suspension back here, you could. And yeah, you're gonna raise that minimum saddle height by a few inches. So especially if you're someone who got the mid step like that and you're trying to be low to the ground, you're gonna raise the saddle. But the comfort thing is a big deal for me. Is that something you guys do as an upgrade?
We push the seat tube down 1 inch.
Really?
Yes, just for that.
Wow, that's smart. Yeah, I noticed even on this high step, you've got a nice angle on that top tube. You brought it down 1 inch. That's excellent. I'm glad we talked about that. So I feel like we've covered most of this. 7-degree angle on the stem. We got two 10 millimeter spacers. You could flip that if you want to be more aggressive. We've got locking. These are Velo ergonomic grips. Pretty nice. 680 millimeters on that bar right there. I don't know. Before we get into the display, are there anything else you want to call out about the bike?
Not really. We found that a lot of customers were adding things. They're adding the fender, they add the rack, they add this, they add that, and we said, why don't we just make a bike that has all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Already.
And that it matches.
Yeah, it matches. It fits perfectly.
You probably get a better deal than them too on these parts.
And it's already on. You don't have to like fiddle around with it. I think people don't really want to fiddle around with it.
Yeah. I feel you. When this bike comes and it's in a huge box, is the front wheel off and the handlebar turned sideways?
Yeah. The new box is optimized. So basically, we just turn the handlebar to the side, and we take the front wheel and put it to the side. That's it.
And that's a quick release wheel anyway.
The handlebar is on. That's what I mean.
That's great. The handlebars, all you have to do is mess with these bolts up here. No?
Only
because the fork is turned.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, so you don't even have to just put the wheel on and go.
Yes.
Okay, that's sweet, thank you. Okay, so we're over on the other side here. I was gonna show the battery pack. Here's the keys. You do not have to leave these in while riding. You just unlock it like that, and there's this lever, and you pull out from the side. Come on. It's hard when I'm holding the camera. Will you pull it out?
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. So this is what it looks like. There's that recess. It helps the battery seat a little bit lower and feel pretty stable and locked in. It does have an LED, like 4 LED readout for charge capacity when it's not on the bike. Will you put that back on? Thanks, Tora. It comes with a 2-amp charger, but they do sell an 8-amp charger if you get the bigger battery pack, and that's from Cycle. Yeah, Grin Technologies. Yes. They're the guys that do like the Cycle Analyst and stuff. So it's pretty cool to see an option, because 2 amps for a charger is kind of average, and even this battery pack is more than half a kilowatt hour. It can take a while, like 6.5 hours to charge, but of course you get more distance. Here's the charging port. Be careful with that, because the crank arms could pass by and snag if you're plugged into it. Sometimes I have trouble with these little rubber ones fitting, but this one actually fits pretty well. And it's the same charging design on or off the bike. It's the same plug standard. So I really like that. Look at that, designed in California. That's fun. And then on this side, Tora, I was noticing there's no slap guard. Is that because the chain ring is so big and it didn't matter, or you need a sticker or something there? Right.
That's a good.
We might add that. They have them on Amazon for like $3. It's a little piece of plastic sticker.
But we tried and they all came like a little too small, because you have wires. They're not.
We're talking about the neoprene ones, right?
Yeah, neoprene ones.
Just get the sticker.
The sticker is okay as well.
Whatever. It's little things. Again, it's my job. Be really thorough here. So the battery pack is great. Like the design. And now we're finally up here at the display panel. It's got 3 buttons. There's a power button back here, so I'll go ahead and press that. Jumps to life pretty quickly. I guess I have to hold it longer. There we go. It comes on. 9 ticks on that battery. I'm used to like 5 or 10, so 9 is kind of interesting. But that's higher resolution. There's more going on there. It's not just 20% increments. We're closer to the 10 or 11%, which is nice. That's at the top right. We got voltage, we got speed in miles per hour right now, and then the odometer down here, 9.7 miles watts, and then levels of assist. It starts in 1, but you can go down to eco. That's the like most energy efficient but slowest. 1, 2, 3, and then S for speed. Speed.
Sport speed.
Super
S.
duper.
Yeah, when you see S, you're gonna be going fast.
It's gonna be fun, right? Yeah. So this is a really cool display panel, in my opinion. It's reachable. They've got the throttle next to it. They're not connected. You could potentially move them around a little bit, but the throttle is definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and I think it's hot. There we go. You can hear that thing spinning up to speed in the rear end of the bike. The plus and minus are also useful for if you hold plus, it turns on that headlight, and see there's a little light indicator right there. So this is during daytime, super bright. And then if you hold the minus button, we've got walk mode. So remember I said this is like 57 pounds. This is not the lightest bike out there, but part of that's all the fenders and everything. Let's pretend you've got it loaded up with groceries and you're walking through like an art festival in the park and you don't want to ride it, but you're sick of pushing it. That walk mode is going to be handy for you. And then if you press plus and power at the same time, check this out. Look at this. This is like the advanced, almost like the cycle analyst, where you've got voltage, watts, amps, speed, watt hours, amp hours, temperature, and then odometer. I mean, it's pretty cool, pretty comprehensive. You're excited about that, right? I know you like the stats.
I had to add that in there.
It's fun. Am I missing anything else on the display, Tora?
Yeah, well, there's a cruise control function, so you pedal assist to the speed you want and hit the walk button again. You'll see the C pop up. It's going into cruise, and then it will maintain that speed. If you pedal assist above that, it will go above that, but if you stop,
it comes back
down.
Wow. But at any time, if you hit those motor inhibitors, it cuts everything, it clears it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's neat. I haven't seen cruise control for a while, but and coming back to the adjustability, this is a speed pedal like 28 miles per hour, but I think you can also have it set for 20 miles per hour, more like a class 2.
Yeah, in the settings you can do a lot of different functions.
Should we bring it up? Should we just
hold
hold plus and minus for a couple seconds?
And then here you can go in and set the speed limit,
the
you can
units,
set the power limit, the backlight
backlighting
setting. You can turn the torque sensor off on the fly. You can set the low voltage of the battery. So if you don't want to deplete the battery completely, you can set that limit.
That's great. What's the automatic cutoffs? Because I've heard that the batteries, you try not to overcharge them or let them get too low.
Well, you just set the voltage. You set the voltage level that you want to, that you don't want to drop below.
And then that becomes your zero.
Normally it's at 40, but you can set it up, 40. Let's say you want 43, you can set it up to 43.
43 volts.
Yeah, 43 volts, I'm sorry.
Sweet. Trying to fill in the blanks for these guys.
Sorry, man. Just throwing numbers.
The other thing is, he touched on this, but I should do a better job. We've got like a TMM type torque sensor back here, so it's measuring strain. That's that plate, that black plate. And then we've also got a high resolution cadence sensor. Can you explain where that is? Where's the cadence sensor?
The cadence sensor is picking up the movement of the 11-tooth cog. So as it's going across, it's picking that up. So most cadence sensors are like 12 magnets here.
Yeah.
We have, when this turns around once, we have 104.
Wow.
So our resolution is extremely high.
That's that high resolution we're talking about. So you got torque and cadence sensing on a hub motor, which traditionally, again, this is cheaper, and you have the basic cadence only, and you get that like start stop, whereas this feels fluid, and it really does. I gotta hand it to you. I actually enjoyed riding this bike. The quietness stood out to me, and then that fluid feel stood out to me. And then having a throttle, I mean, the one thing that was missing here for me on the display is there's no zero mode, right? Like, I guess you just turn it off, and then that becomes your zero.
Yeah, in eco mode, it's, we don't want you to have a heavy bike experience.
Yeah.
So in eco mode, it's basically mimic a bicycle.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Maybe I should try that. I'm gonna start out on eco mode and go for a little ride. I'll be right back because I wanna get you on this too.
Okay.
How tall are you?
6'2.5".
6'2.5". Awesome. I'm 5'9", so this is more my size. And that kickstand, it feels really solid and snappy. It's something else I've noticed. And then like the shake test, a lot of the weight is low and center because of the battery positioning, and hub motors tend to be compact and lightweight, so I feel like it's balanced. We weighed it from right about here, didn't we? Yeah, right in the middle of the frame, and the bike was pretty stable. So I'll be right back, Tora. Oh yeah, and they got the Welgo. These are the aluminum platform pedals. They're a little bit bigger, so you have plenty of room for your feet. Not gonna slide off. Here we go. Super smooth. I'm not pushing very hard right now, and it does just feel like a bicycle. Something people frequently comment on with electric bikes, like Bosch, for example, it's like, man, even the eco mode, like the lowest mode, feels kind of powerful. Like, I just want to cruise, I want to chill. You got that here. Let's do a stability test here. I'm going pretty slow, but I'm not, you know, the handlebars feel, it coasts smoothly, in part because of those larger diameter wheels. They're very stable. Now I'm gonna do up to speed or sport or whatever. There we go, not bad. Not bad. There's a little bit of a lag after I stopped pedaling. I think because it's relying on the torque and the cadence. Now here's some bumps. I can hear that front fender just a little bit, but believe me, I mean, there are a lot louder bikes out there that are that rattling sound. So I like that this one is a lot smoother, and I'm going to use the throttle. That was a bigger hit. And there's our top speed of about 20 miles per hour with the throttle. That's when that quits. I might put the camera on the bike to do the full speed. Okay guys, from this view you can see the 52 tooth chain ring. You can see a little bit back here with the motor, the sprockets. I'm gonna shift through, and the goal here is I'm gonna be in sport mode. I'm gonna try to hit that 28 miles per hour. I'm gonna start and stop a little bit too, so you can see how responsive the torque plus cadence sensor is, and just get a feel for the noise as well. Nice. Now you hear the geared motor, of course, but it's not as loud as I expected, and it's very smooth. From this view you should see the suspension fork, maybe some of the fenders. Listen for the noise again. Tora, do you mind trading off with me real quick?
How was that?
It was great.
Okay.
It worked well. Keep your eye out for the keys. You know, I just left them in here. He's raising the seat. Maybe you can go around, you know, around this little circle. Do a brake test. I want to see those. You know, don't hurt yourself though. Just doing quick shifts. Oh yeah, nice. And that light really is bright. Yeah. You definitely get there's like a level of awareness.
Oh, definitely. That's a very important thing to really draw people when you're riding real fast. You know, you want to let people know you're coming, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. It's always an honor to meet with the people who actually design this stuff. And I know you travel internationally, so I'm glad we synced up here.
Thank you.
That's the CrossCurrent S from Juiced Bikes. Check it out. What's your website?
Juicedbikes.com.
Juicedbikes.com.
Yes.
For the full write-up on this, with the specs I measured and everything, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Have fun out there with a fast bike. Ride safe.